Hey. This is Karina. Welcome to Karina Concast. This is my politics channel. Welcome. Today we are going to talk about the United Kingdom and Canada. What is happening there is pure craziness. There does seem to be a theme for me right now. That is on this channel at least, and that theme seems to be craziness. It is really nuts what is going on in both United Kingdom and Canada. Um, if you don't know by now, I really believe we are living in the Twilight Zone. Like we have flown into the Twilight Zone. Um, Ever since, and I think it was Trump being elected to begin with, but then COVID, people have lost their beloved minds. Like they have just gone berserk. And we are watching the tailspin of everybody who have lost it. Yeah. If you don't know what the Twilight Zone was a show back before my time, but way back in like the 60s, I think, 50s, 60s ish. It was like a strange thing of, it was warped and twisted and, yeah, it was very dystopian, science fictiony, um, and it was in primarily black and white, uh, but it was weird. It was weird. It was weird, and I remember kind of sometimes, you turn the channel and you'd see occasionally some reruns, some old shows, right? And occasionally, I remember as a kid, I would occasionally see some, you know, reruns of not a lot, but reruns of the Twilight Zone, and certainly you'd see clips. Um, I don't think I ever watched a full episode. In fact, I know I have not because it is not my cup of tea whatsoever. In fact, I really do not like shows like The Twilight Zone. Like it's not my thing. It's a weird, warped, twisted, like different experience. They'll have like weird experiences, almost like out of body, or the characters will go through things, and then the I don't know. Well, I don't really know fully because I haven't even watched one full episode, but that is what it was really about. Strange things, just weird things happening to people. Uh anyway, wasn't my cup of tea, so never, like I said, watched it, but I would hear about it, and they show like little clips of it and whatever. And anyway, but back in the day, it was all the thing, I guess. But we are living in the Twilight Zone. Just in case you don't know, we're living in the Twilight Zone. Anyway, I'm not sure if you've been following the UK and Canada, but I have a few stories to cover today about all the craziness. Again, craziness seems to be the theme. And outright, I'm just going to say these two governments, the governments that are going on today in the United Kingdom and Canada, just in my opinion, seem to be really, really corrupt, like very corrupt. And when the government sides with the criminals, and there's a two-tier justice system going on in these governments, are not actually putting the public safety first at all and don't seem to care, and it's all about money and it's all about power, that's a corrupt government. And that is what it seems to be going on. And I do feel like here in the United States, this would have been similar in the United States had Kamala Harris been elected. So praise the Lord that President Trump was reelected. Seriously. Unfortunately, the Democrats have gotten that bad, in my opinion. And I feel also very strongly that this isn't just about like Republicans versus Democrats or liberals versus conservatives or whatever. It is, yes, on one hand, but there's a greater thing going on. And what I believe it is the globalists. I believe the globalists are really behind this crap that's going on. And they have taken over. That's the thing. That's the scary part. They have really taken over the government, apparently in the United Kingdom and Canada, in my humble opinion. It's nuts. It is really nuts. I don't know if you've been following, but I don't know if the United Kingdom will survive. That is a good question. It's sad what's going on in Europe. It seems to be pretty much all over Europe, actually, by the way. Now, it's not 100% of the country, right? That's the thing. I mean, you have some really big name American celebrities who have moved, Ellen DeGeneres and Portia de Rossi to England, and excuse me, Rosie O'Donnell to, I believe, Ireland. And they seem to be doing just fine, right? But that is because they are rich, right? They are rich, and so they can afford the nice, cottage in the nice English countryside, right? Where they have no neighbors for, acres and acres and acres, I mean, there's a classic, I think it's classic, video clip of, it's Ellen DeGeneres and Portia de Rossi, mostly Ellen, on there, and they are in this boat or whatever, canoe. I don't know, they're like boating or canoeing or whatever. And Ellen is struggling to like get the paddles and get the boat going, and it's kind of funny. But it's like, yeah, they don't seem to be having any problems, right? And it's because they're really rich. That's the thing. And yeah, I mean, obviously, so is Rosie O'Donnell. I'm not sure exactly where she's living or anything, right? In Ireland, but I mean, that's the difference, I think. A lot of it, at least. Yeah, praise the Lord that, the United States, we did not elect Kamala Harris or Joe Biden before her, he had to bail out because he was comatose, basically. Anyway, but the United Kingdom is arresting people for social posts. Don't know if you know this story. They are arresting people for social posts. Now, I'm not sure. I thought there was a story in the United States, but and there have been some things in the United States, but that was back when Biden was president, which was horrible. But anyway, they are really clamping down. This is censorship on steroids. I mean, really. And there's, it's crazy. So first off, this story Um, Also, they are arresting, like I said, they are arresting people for tweets, basically. So this crazy story comes out of The Atlantic. And apparently The Atlantic is quite left-wing. But even they are saying the arrest that demonstrates Europe's free speech problem, the absurd detention of the comedy writer Graham Lynham, underscores a deeper issue. You think? This is nuts. This is really nuts. So this guy, he's Irish comedy writer. I don't know if you follow anything regarding English, the United Kingdom type sitcoms or British TV, right? Guess he was known for Father Ted, Black Books, the IT Crowd or IT Crowd on British TV. But apparently these days he's better known for online crusade against transgender activism. His X feed takes the same approach as Libs of TikTok. Shout out to Libs of TikTok. Cherry picking videos of criminals, fetishists, in a full scale assault on gender ideology. Okay. He is obsessive and offensive. Okay. Not sure about obsessive, but I'm sure some people take offense. But is he criminal? The British police seem to think so. Lynham was arrested by 5 armed officers. 5 armed officers today on his return from the United States. So, as I understand it, he was like in, I think, what do you call it, an airport, I think. I'm not completely sure on that, but, so why would you need 5 armed officers? I'm just curious here. It's ridiculous. So where he had been working on a new sitcom and was accused of inciting violence. Just so he is saying that this allegation relates to 3 posts on X, and the authorities have not contradicted him, and British news outlets are treating his account as credible. So in other words, he was arrested for 3 posts on X. In other words, 3 tweets. Hello. This is a dystopian nightmare. Yeah, this is a dystopian nightmare, I would say. Just absolutely ridiculous. I'm not sure if you know who he is. I didn't think I knew him. The name does not sound at all familiar, but this is him right here. And he does look familiar to me. You know, I can't say I really know who he is or anything, but he does look familiar to me now that I see, the picture of him, in case you are like, who is this dude? I don't follow a whole lot going on in Britain. But again, like here in the United States, we really are rooting the United Kingdom on, for real, and Canada, to get back to normalcy, to get back to freedom, and like rights for everyone, like a 1-tier justice system, not a 2-tier justice system. This is ridiculous. Just absolutely ridiculous. This has everything to do with freedom of speech. And when you have a very leftist, like, outlet, like The Atlantic, saying this, the arrest that demonstrates Europe's free speech problem. Yeah, you got a really big problem. It's just so crazy. This is so bad and crazy and dystopian. We're living in a dystopian nightmare, apparently. Like I said, we are living in the Twilight Zone. And it ain't good. And mass immigration in the UK and I think in Canada is really bad. Well, I know in Canada, I think. Well, I mean, I don't live in either of these places, right? So this is what I hear. But, it's not good in America. It's not good in the United States. And, Trump has been trying to deport, illegal immigrants that are here, which is great, except that he's been blocked, and, judges get in his way and just all of it. And people are, doxing ICE. It's just nuts. Anyway, which are just doing their job. Anywho, oh gosh, but anyhow, so yeah, he's been arrested. And so then I heard about this mother of five. She's apparently a mother of five, and she organized, her name is Sarah White. She organized a migrant hotel protesting because some very vile, evil things have been happening. And assaults and stuff. And allegedly, all of this is allegedly, supposedly, everyone is innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. But she organized a protest at Epping District Council offices. But on Sunday night, she was arrested. And apparently, like the straw that broke the camel's back, whatever, was she displayed Great Britain's flag. She displayed Great Britain's flag, which was like apparently the ultimate no-no in Great Britain. What in the hey? This is insane. Again, we have entered the Twilight Zone, everybody. Buckle up. Oh my goodness. It's insane. This is all insane. Also, I was reading and I came across this. I'm not sure how I came across this one. But apparently now, there are new blasphemy laws in England. They were abolished in 2008, which is also kind of crazy because that's not that long ago. But anyway, but now they have what is called, quote, Islamic blasphemy codes. So the story is supposedly a man by the name of Hamit Koskan, I believe, burned a Quran outside a Turkish consulate, and the Crown prosecutor and a judge ruled the man was guilty of what they called religiously aggravated public order offense. Again, freedom of speech. The problem I have with this, well, all of it is freedom of speech. But the other problem I have with this is, if that same man were to burn a Bible, do you think anything would happen? Do you think they'd care? They supposedly outlawed or abolished, blasphemy laws, which were apparently Christian in nature, right? In 2008. But now apparently you can't burn the Quran. Really? Anyway, so that's crazy, ridiculous. And again, if at least you're going to have that, well, then at least make it fair. And I also wanted to say one other thing. Tommy Robinson. He is a United Kingdom hero in my book. He is a whistleblower over primarily, I remember back when it was the graping and grooming gangs. It was mainly Pakistani men, I believe, going after young British girls. And he was repeatedly talking about that and, getting into scrapes and stuff over that because, in my opinion, that was his whole mission, was to whistleblow, to sound the alarm on what was happening, and he could see it. And it was happening in, not the best neighborhoods, right, in England. And I think that's part of the reason why a lot of the individuals, a lot of the Englanders, the politicians and all of that, they really didn't care. And not only did they not care, some of them were covering it up. And the police, apparently. Supposedly. This is all allegedly. Supposedly. We got no proof, nothing. Nobody tells us anything. But this is crazy and ridiculous. And he had a real, he's had real disagreements with especially like Piers Morgan. And I guess he went on his show, I think way back when, and then they had a scuffle about it or whatever. And yeah, they have not gotten along ever since then. But truly, I would probably have no idea about this. And it was bad. I mean bad. I mean, when I say graping and grooming, I mean like also including mutilating. It's disgusting and evil, in my humble opinion, about what was going on there. And read the court docs. I read some of the court docs. And they have arrested some people, finally, kind of a thing. But it took them a while. And I think it really took Tommy Robinson, constantly out there talking about it, constantly, because they wanted to cover it up. The politicians wanted to cover it up. Just horrid, horrible. Anyway, they should seriously put up statues for Tommy Robinson. I'm not even kidding. I really do believe he is like a hero, for real. And I mean, for real, I don't follow the United Kingdom like super closely, right? On an everyday basis or something like that, because I don't live, in the United Kingdom, obviously. I live in the United States, but dude, the only reason I know about this is Tommy Robinson. Not kidding. Anywho, moving right along. Meanwhile, in Canada, their solution seems to be euthanasia. Apparently for anyone who wants to, that's the final solution for them. This is ridiculous. I had heard, this was a few months ago, or maybe longer than that now. God, time flies. Anyway, there was a lady, and she was going all around saying goodbye to everybody, and I don't believe she had any kind of like illness, like a fatal illness, like a disease or anything. Life-threatening, sorry, that's what I was looking for. I'm looking for a term. Life-threatening illness or disease. And I think she had depression. I'm not sure fully. But she just decided on euthanasia. No. In my opinion, no. No, 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 no. No. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Again, we're living in the Twilight Zone. And I say no. Anyway, also I've heard the price of housing and rent is so very, very high. Now, I did look this up in Google to see the price of housing and rent is incredibly high in Canada, especially apparently in Toronto and Vancouver. And it was said that the reasons the cost of housing and rent is so high is because of immigration, like mass immigration, which would cause, because everybody's looking for a house. Everybody's looking for a home, right? And so the prices go up. And I don't know if this was a meme, but my husband showed me this, and it looked like, and again, I don't know how real this is. I wouldn't rule it out because we're all living in the Twilight Zone and this is just dystopian. But there may have been some women, or there may be some women who are selling themselves as part of like a rental agreement. Presumably the landlords are men, probably. This is just crazy, ridiculous. I don't know how truthful that is, though. It could have been a meme that my husband was showing me. I asked him, is that real? He said he didn't know, right? So I don't know how real that is, but oh my goodness. Please no. Please no. This is ridiculous. I mean, seriously. If I were there and in that situation, I'd be like, okay, I got to round up like 4 women with me and we'll all, rent a flat or whatever, an apartment or whatever. And, it's going to be crowded, but at least we don't got to sell ourselves. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Anyway, also, self-defense seems to be out the window also in Canada. There was a man that is being charged with assault, I believe because someone broke into his house in the middle of the night in order to rob him, and the homeowner is being charged, not the robber, I don't believe. I could be wrong about the robber part, but I know he's being charged. Apparently. He is being charged. I watched a clip on it. I watched anyway. And the other crazy part, yet some more craziness, is the cops were saying that the homeowners, if anybody breaks in, right, you need to comply with the criminals. And that in order to be the best witnesses possible, don't defend yourself, run and hide, lock yourself in a bedroom, out of the way bedroom, or run out of the house, don't try to defend yourself. I mean, this is the thing. It's in the middle of the night. Okay, presumably you're sound asleep. What would you do? For real? Somebody breaks in. You're in the middle of sleeping. So the cops are basically telling you, well, don't defend yourself. No, 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 no. Get up and apparently sprint out of your bedroom, or, I'm assuming you're in your bedroom. I mean, how big do you think that door is to your bedroom, by the way? I don't know. I don't know the full story of whether, they were sound asleep. I would be probably sound asleep. Well, That's not necessarily true. I have a hard time sleeping these days. So I can hear my husband in my head going, "No, you wouldn't, Karina. What are you talking about?" but but still, I I mean, imagine that. Seriously, imagine the cops being like, "Well, don't defend yourself at all, right? You need to be the best witnesses possible, and you need to comply with the criminals." Yeah, this is another thing. What if you're a woman? Because that was a man. But what if you're a woman and you're sound asleep in your bed and some man breaks into your house and he comes in your bedroom and what do you think he's there for? Seriously. So you're just supposed to comply? I don't think so. This is ridiculous. I mean, seriously ridiculous. I mean, I guess they're talking about a robber, but what if someone else comes into your house for another reason? You're just supposed to comply with the criminals. Again, this is a dystopian nightmare in Canada. And really crazy. To be the best witnesses possible. Anywho, also going on in Canada, Canada. Oh, God. Oh, Canada. Sorry. Oh, boy, I had to. Anyway. Yeah. Also, they're trying to kill, apparently. Or they use the term cull. Shout out to Viva Fry. They're trying to cull 400, which means kill, apparently. Exterminate, whatever. 400, approximately 400 ostriches due to the H1N1 bird flu. And these ostriches survived. But like 60 of them apparently approximately died. But it's been about 9 months. And the rest, are still living, right? Surviving, they're all doing fine. And so in Canada, these ostriches live on a farm, ostrich farm, whatever. And the government is basically trying to kill their ostriches. But these ostriches survived. And even like Dr. Oz and RFK Jr. has commented on this, like something about maybe doing research because they survived, right? They didn't die while the other 60 did, or whatever, approximately. And so they might have some kind of like antibodies or something, to fight off the H1N1 bird flu, right? If it happens in the future or something like that. And they at least could be researched or whatever. And they're just like, the Canadian government's just like, no, we're just going to kill them all. Like, this is ridiculous. In my humble opinion, this is yet again crazy. And it's their personal farm. It's a dystopian nightmare. And very, very disturbing. And growing up, my main pastor, like I grew up and I went to a small church. And we did have some issues finding a pastor for a while. But when we finally did get a really good pastor, and so during my main growing up, this pastor, he used to say that we live in an upside down world. Okay? That everything was backwards. That what was right was considered wrong. What was considered wrong was considered right. And when I was a kid, I just didn't see it. And I didn't understand what he was saying. I didn't see it. And I remember being like, okay, pastor, like, okay, sure, whatever you say, right? But I did not see it. Like, I did not see it. Growing up in my little world and my parents and, at school and just all of it, was like, I don't think I don't think it's backwards. And now it's like, holy buckets, that's what he was like talking about. That's what he was referring to. Is like nowadays, this dystopian, crazy nightmare that we're all living through, in my opinion, which is called the Twilight Zone. Anyway, because everybody's lost their ever-loving mind. And we have stories like this stuff. And there's all kinds of stuff going on. And then, like, even in the United States, of course, the Nutter Butters are out in full force. I was watching the news, and it was Washington, D.C., because, President Trump is trying to clean up Washington, D.C., which is awesome, by the way, and especially, I would think, for the normal, regular normies who live in Washington, D.C., who don't want to, be, red rummed on the way to work or whatever. Apparently it's gotten really bad there. And I was literally, they had people with signs that said, like, this, protect our crime. This is our murder. Like, what? Like, this is our crime, whatever. I can't remember all of what the sign said, but it was something craziness like that. Like you don't belong in our, in the middle of our crime. We want our crime, just, again, we are living in the Twilight Zone. What in the hey? How dystopian is that? To hold up signs that you want to protect your crime, that you don't want anybody to come and clean it up. Really? So nuts. So nuts. Anyway, I did want to also state that on Saturday, September 13th, Tommy Robinson has been indicating that there's going to be some kind of protest. I'm not sure if it's a march, a protest, a gathering. I don't know. But for freedom, basically, for the United Kingdom, right? Or for England, or probably all the United Kingdom, I would think. And I wanted to mention that because we are going to be watching for that, and we stand with and we are rooting for freedom and a one-tier justice system and peace and goodwill to return to the United Kingdom, also to Canada, but they're not organizing anything, I don't think. I don't know. I wonder, and this is happening all across the UK. And in case you want to know, I don't know if you follow Tommy Robinson or you know who this is at all, but this is Tommy Robinson. And he is, an activist really for freedom. Ignore this crap because, it's crap. Anyway, my opinion, just my opinion. He is an activist for the United Kingdom. He is an activist for freedom and a one-tier justice system, in my humble opinion. And so, in case you wanted to know, this is Tommy Robinson. In case you're not familiar with him, I don't know, you might not be familiar with him, but he's from kind of a hard neighborhood, I think, in London originally, right? And it, a tough neighborhood, and that's how he saw all this happening. And I really do believe he is a whistleblower. He is absolutely, in my opinion, a whistleblower and a true hero, for real. That's my opinion. For what it's worth, that's my 10 cents for what it's worth. Um, but be on the lookout for that. Everyone who really believes in freedom and the West. I mean, we're all part collectively of the West, right? We're considered the West, right? United States, Europe, Canada, and I fear that, you know, as the West goes kapooty booty and gets destroyed, the kind of the world will follow, um, into, yeah, we don't want another like dark ages. That's what it feels like. It feels like we're like heading into another like dark ages or something. And we don't want that. No, we don't want that. We want, again, we want freedom. We want a one-tier justice system. We want peace. We want goodwill. We want equality under the law. Um, and it would not bode well if all of Europe goes under, really gets absolutely destroyed. That would not ever be good, in my humble opinion. Um, just like it would never be good for the United States to be destroyed and go under for the cause of freedom alone, really. And I'm not trying to blackpill anybody. If you are praying kind, I am. Pray. And we are absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, we are rooting for the United Kingdom. We are rooting for Canada. Um, I, I, my complete hope is that, the thing is, it's good to keep talking about it. It's good to keep sounding the alarm, right? And it's also good to uh, certainly keep praying and rooting for them. But something's got to give. And there needs to be a real, from the bottom up, meaning the citizens, the people have to keep on, right? Have to keep fighting for freedom, for a one-tier justice system, I think, the United Kingdom or England claims, really, I've heard a number of them from England claim that they were like the first, country for freedom of speech, for that type of freedom. And now, I mean, you got, yeah, all kinds of mean tweets, um, sending them to prison, right? Oh, there was another one. Yeah, this Lucy Connolly. I don't know if you heard about this Lucy Connolly. She was sentenced, this is insane, to 31 months in prison for supposedly inciting racial hatred, which is a bunch of crap, in my opinion, with social media posts. This is distorted. I thought it had to do with, there was some, man, this is distorted. I mean, they're claiming here a asylum seekers during anti-immigration riots. She was released, certain part of her, but unable to travel. No, there's more a story, darn it. There's more of a story behind it. It had to do, yeah, it had to do with, I thought, some kind of crime that was committed by an immigrant. And she had posted, posts, social media posts. And she was arrested and served prison time. Don't quote me on that because it doesn't say the full thing right here, because I think they are selectively censoring the full story there, in my humble opinion. And as I understand the story, I could be wrong on the story about her specifically, but it's still ridiculous. Absolutely still ridiculous. Even if supposedly what this is saying is true, which I don't think it is, it's still insane, because it isn't inciting it. It's not. It's social posts, and people have been posting social stuff, forever, or not forever, but I mean ever since, the age of the internet and smartphones, for a while now, that could be considered insightful. It's ridiculous. It's again, it is so frustrating. It is trying to clamp down and silence freedom of speech. I'm not necessarily saying I would post any of the stuff that these individuals post, right? Like, I'm not necessarily saying I would do it. I don't know if I would or not. It would depend upon the situation. Well, I'm not actually big on posting a whole lot of tweets or anything, though. So, but if I were, if I were in their spot, if I were in their position, I might. And again, it's still freedom of speech. This is all about freedom of speech. I can tell you, nothing can get me more riled up than freedom of speech, because, like I said on an earlier video, it is so vital. It is so important, because it is the one amendment, the U.S. Bill of Rights. It's the First Amendment, in which all the rest of amendments are built. Now, of course, that's in the United States. But like I said, I have heard that, it was England who brought us the wonderful gift of, freedom of speech. I kid. I'm kidding. I believe it is a right from God. I really do. We all have freedom of speech. This is an inalienable right. That means we are endowed by our Creator. That's right. Anyway, so let me know what you think in the comments about all of this, what you have heard about all of this. Again, all of this is allegedly, supposedly. We got no absolute proof. No proof of nothing. Everybody's innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. I have to protect myself. I do feel like I need to say this kind of stuff. I know, because freedom of speech seems to be really under attack. Anyway, but tell me what you think, and tell me where you're from. And if there's anyone from England, well, maybe you wouldn't want to include any social posts. Never mind, right? I don't know if you'd want to leave them. Well, you could at least describe maybe how bad it is in reality, because I do wonder if it's, in certain segments, right, of certain areas. Anyway, just leave a post, say hi, I don't know, and tell me what you think. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Sometimes, the crazier this world gets, the crazier all of this gets. It feels like, I think it's just me. Maybe it's just me. Let me know. Let me know if it's just me or if you were feeling this too. All right. Well, I hope you have a wonderful day as usual. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.